Welcome back. You're watching NewsX. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Amid President's rule in Manipur, the state police and intelligence agencies have chalked out a comprehensive security plan. In the last 3 days, the forces have ramped up efforts to crack down against terror. This has resulted in 21 terrorists being nabbed, with several weapons ranging from rifles to launchers to grenades being seized. In fact, Chinese-made drone remote controller has also been recovered. But that's not all. Efforts to combat illicit drug production and narcotics trafficking are also underway. Over the last couple of days, the Assam Rifles, Manipur Police and the CRPF have worked in tandem to destroy 16 acres of poppy fields. It is undoubtedly clear that restoring normalcy in Manipur is the first priority. So is this testament to the President's rule providing the necessary conditions for peace and reconciliation? Well, that's exactly what we'll discuss in the next half an hour. Mr. R.V.S. Mani, former Under Secretary, Ministry of Home Affairs, Internal Security Affair expert, joining us on the program. Mr. Vicky Nanjappa, journalist tracking internal security, is also with us. Major General J.K. Bansal, defence expert, former member of the NDMA, with us on the program as well. Major Mohammad Ali Shah, defence expert, also joins us on the program to talk more about this. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Vicky, I'll begin with you. Well, is this good news that right after the President's rule was imposed, there seems to be a crackdown of sorts on a number of things that perhaps in more ways than one were contributing to the troubles that we got to see in Manipur over the last couple of years? Vicky Nanjappa?
I think it's going in the right direction now, because, the very idea of imposing President's rule was to ensure, that there is a certain amount of control. If you can, actually compare it very much to the situation that we saw in Jammu Kashmir, once the rule of the LG was there, then, the results did start coming in. And, when you have both the administration as well as the central forces, the local administration as well as the central forces working in tandem, then, the room for some hanky-panky is very less. And here there are many, many players. Insurgents, there's foreign interference, and there's drug smuggling. All these things, there had to be this one, and this is a very loud message there, and this is just signs of the things to come. And I would also say that once they get the situation relatively under control, then the government should be the government rule should be restored out there, because keeping President's rule in one place for too long also can become problematic. I think they would, ideally follow the model they have followed in Jammu Kashmir, even in Manipur. And I'm quite confident that, these actions which have taken today, these arrests and all these seizures, are just, the beginning of, things to come. And I think peace would be restored quite soon in Manipur.
Major Mohammad Ali Shah, you've served in Manipur. You've been following this. You understand the people from Manipur as well. What do you make of the President's rule being imposed, and why do you think it was not done earlier? Do you think the chances of things going so bad would have deterred if something like this was done earlier?
Okay, Vineet, that's a very, very good question. Now the thing is, see, 11 times earlier, when Manipur has seen President of India's rule, and the fact is, whenever there is a troubled time, when there is no assembly, when there is no government, the President rule has to come in. Kokomi, which is a social organization from Manipur, they have said that they have found the President's rule to be undemocratic. I was speaking to my Maite friends, and I was trying to understand how and why Kokomi had said it's undemocratic. So some of them said it could be, some of them said, no, actually Kokomi does not represent the entire Maite body. Kokomi is not Manipur, with all due respect to Kokomi, in fact. And the Cookies have welcomed the President's rule. So the very fact is, when the President's rule is imposed, why it wasn't done earlier? Because earlier the government was there. Mr. N. Brain Singh, the former Chief Minister of Manipur, had not resigned. The government was there. Though the demand from the Cookie community Cookie tribe was to impose President rule ASAP. Now with the Supreme President, is the Supreme Commando of the Indian Armed Forces. With the President's rule coming in, I hope the armed forces get a free hand to operate. and they do not have their hands tied behind the backs anymore. So most certainly, and I think it also acts as a balm to a lot of wounded hearts who had been wanting the present rule. In fact, they are a lot of my dear friends also of mine who have welcomed the present rule. So hopefully, let's see. That's one option that the government has given, and hopefully things should be better. Hopefully, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that, Vinny. And my sympathies and my love for all the communities in Manipur, for that matter.
Mr. Mani, your assessment, sir, of these initiatives, the peace in Manipur, and in just within a few days of the president's rule, there has been this, holistic crackdown on activities that could have been stopped earlier as well.
I would rather reserve my point on whether it could have been done earlier. The basic thing is, let us count down the points. Number one, certain Anfa Nayoni militants have been arrested, and other things are going. All this type of combing operations are going on. Terrorists are being culled out. The difference between the disaffected ones and the terrorists, that distinction is coming out. All these things are happening. You said poppy cultivation has been burned, but poppy is just not just the only problem. The synthetic drugs constitute around 65% of the Manipur drug trafficking, and that also needs to be controlled, and that comes from outside the country, China, Myanmar border and all that. That's a very major problem that also needs to be attended. These are all very, of course, the low-hanging fruits have been picked up now very rightly. On the larger question of whether President rule could have been imposed, the President rule was imposed after extended tenure to Biren Singh for a simple reason. Even if you don't like to be political, there is a political angle. See, 2004, the cookies also voted heavily for the BJP, the present ruling dispensation, and they had seen development up to 2018. There was a lot of, I personally seen projects being implemented there. We have released money for that. So many things happened. In fact, I have written an article on that, Samadhan Tak, like that. Sampark se Samadhan Tak. So these are all there. At the same time, other political parties were fanned out by the foreign elements which are into this by several methodologies to create a problem, and that is how it has taken, it took some time for consolidation. Now that we have come to this pass. So first thing is, so Biren Singh was hesitant because he would not go all out, and he was hesitant right from that. He was making very checkered steps, but the question is, now the president rule has come. Now it's very much easier, it's a very seamless kind of counter operations which have been commenced last 4 or 5 days. You will see much more coming out in the future before the consolidation takes place. Now it is only a cleansing process which is happening. After that, we have to consolidate. How long the president rule should go, I think it's a matter of debate, because unless and until you consolidate strongly to the positions, you should not lift the president rule, and if need be, get the parliament approval for that extension and all that. So there should be no hurry about it. Since we have started the counter-insurgency thing, it has to be taken to the logical end. So president rule is now showing results. I am sure it will go further, and it will get into a more consolidated position. All the radicals and the foreign hand will be identified and thrown out of the Manipur, thrown out of the country, or taken to the task as per the rule of law. So I don't think there is a flip side to it. There are the human rights organizations in 10 days or 15 days they will start shouting from the rooftop. The government may not, including some which are being aided by the US aid, which has now stopped, but still they will continue to exist and create trouble. But without paying heed to it, they should go ahead and consolidate the position before they take any further steps about relenting on the president rule side. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Let me also, at this point in time, rope in Major General J.K. Bansal into this conversation. General Bansal, all right, let's not get into what was not done. Why wasn't, the president's rule imposed earlier on? The fact of the matter is that we're beginning to see some change. Do you think that this trajectory if it works the way it has in the last 3 days, should be continued with?
Good evening, Vineet. Yes, it should be continued. You know that Viren Singh was given enough time. Since May 2023, last 21 months, there had been 250 deaths and 60,000 people were displaced, and he could not do. And he oversaw some of the things which will be now under control because there are a lot of militarization and arms smuggling and this poppy seeds and this whatever you have told that yes, 6 acres of the land has been, the poppy land has been destroyed, what for 30 kg of opium. Now, there is a problem which has to be taken into consideration. Well, if you go back to the history during British time, there were the two different administrations for the hill and the valley. And now the hill people, mainly Kukis and Naga, they feel that their resources are not being, the whatever resource they are having, not being given to them. And they are very happy with the president rule. While the Methi, they are saying that now it will be under direct military rule, which they are objecting to it. But this, one thing more, I just really fail to understand because at the time of Viren Singh also, there was the complete coordination between the state machinery, administrative machinery, and the central machinery. But maybe some political interference or something was undercurrent which could not control, and now I feel that things will be in order because the 9 militants, they have been arrested, and likewise the poppy seeds, this money which is illegal money coming over there. So that everything together, but long-term solution has to be thought of about how to bring together this hilly cookies and the valley metis together, and there could be, however, this cookie they are asking for this separate administration, which may not be possible. So let us see. I hope that there will be some peace will be there, and definitely it will be because there are the sincere efforts of all the agencies and central government. So things will be better now. Back to you.
All right, fair enough. Vicky, also let's discuss as to the government perhaps has headed on the right direction, but the border fencing part has always been something that has led to a number of issues cropping up. Do you think that is a must for the government to undertake now?
Yes, not just Manipur, Bangladesh included, I would say, because the border is, pretty fragile out there. So I think, more importantly, while you undertake an operation like this, where, it's a complete cleanup within the state, where, you're just trying to hit not just resources, but, arrest people and, if necessary, neutralize them in case there is an encounter, and then, cut off source of funding. But at the same time, if the border remains, open and there's no control at the border, the more you are, trying to, stop out here or eliminate out here, you'll have newer ones coming in. So that has to be, a combination, when you're fighting some kind of an insurgency or, some kind of a problem, especially when it is in a border state. If you see that we saw the same thing which was happening in Jammu Kashmir also, the infiltrations were extremely happening quite easily, and border control was really a key, because if you have 100 terrorists being either arrested or eliminated, and then you let another 100 in, so it defeats the whole purpose. So I think the whole thing, the same logic would apply to Manipur, because it is actually quite tricky, to fight these kind of battles, especially on a border state, because the situation is extremely volatile. There will be elements who will be, trying to push in people, to, maximize their numbers. So I think all these aspects, investigation, seizures, encounters, and border control all have to work in tandem. Only then you have a complete solution to the problem.
Mohammad Ali Shah, what are your thoughts on the fencing aspect, and what are your thoughts on this stream of terrorism also that is spurring up in Manipur and surrounding areas? How is that likely to be contained and controlled?
Right, Vineet, firstly, I have to compliment you on your understanding on the issue of Manipur. In fact, there are very few journalists I know who have this in-depth understanding, and you definitely are. one of them. Now, Vineet, I have fought counter-insurgency operations in Jammu Kashmir in the year 2003, 2005. I have seen insurgency in the northeast part of India from beyond after 2005 onwards. Now, again, as we all know, the whole country knows that J&K, the insurgency problem was there. But Manipur, for some reason, people are less aware about the insurgency problem in Manipur. They were underground groups who would also collect taxes, and that would be extortion. So they were running a parallel government in a way, the underground groups. Like, for example, they had their own organizations, like the PLA, People Liberation Army, the UNLF, United Nation Liberation Front, the KYKL, Angla Yavon Kanal Look. There was Free Park, there was Pulse, there were so many other underground organizations. Now, if you remember about 3 years back, there was this assassination of Assam Rifles Commandant Colonel Biplab Tripathi, in fact, which we also covered on NewsX, and his wife and his son were also killed in action. And I haven't seen actually the northeast insurgents in Manipur also, I mean, attacking families or civilians or school buses or ambulances earlier. But now I am seeing in the ethnic clash, we saw women and children, we saw small, a few months old babies were being killed, we saw kidnapping. Now, when we talk about that one side is the underground, the insurgency problem in Manipur, and the other side is the current ethnic violence that's going on in Manipur. Now, what's happened? The society in Manipur has become so armed that a common person has got access to a weapon and roaming around. Recently, there was an FIR against, I think there were 5 Poke boys who were displaying their arms by playing on the football field. They were people showing weapons and who were watching a band perform, and they had come as weapons. And irrespective of, I'm told that they were from the armed group, which was supposed to be a social group earlier. Like Arambai Tangol was actually a social group of Manipur. It was never an armed group. They didn't work towards an insurgency. No, they were very, very peace-loving. They were a very social group. But now things are different. Things are tables have turned. Now a village volunteer, we don't know who would be a village volunteer and who would be a militant. Because the society has become so armed. So anyone with an arm, that is, it would spread terror, right? Anybody with an arm, whether it's for self-defense, it's for a want, it's for a cause, for whatever. It might be a cause for them, but for the central government, for the government, it's not a cause. I mean, we do not go by their cause. For us, a terrorist is a terrorist, be it in Jammu Kashmir, be it in the northeast part of India, be it anywhere. A terrorist is a terrorist, simple as that. So now how do we put an end to it? We put an end to it by winning hearts and minds. Today, I stand tall as a soldier for peace. I believe in spreading love, compassion, humanity, and when we make those people believe and feel that the armed forces is there to protect them, not to intimidate them, not to go against them, but to stand with them when they come on our side, when they actually give up their arms. I am not boasting about this, but there was a gentleman, again from the northeast part of India. This happened before the pandemic. I personally met him, and this person laid down his arms. He had from underground, he had come overground because of the motivation that was given to him. Similarly, many of them, they pick up arms for reasons like unemployment, poverty, but that's no reason. But that is the fact that many of them, when I was with the Assam Rifles, in the Assam Rifles, I had Jawans who were surrendered militants. They were insurgents earlier. They had given up their arms and then they had come. My own buddy, he was a militant earlier. And these are, when I got into their psychology, and that's how I could operate over there. Because now I had to put myself in their shoes and think like them. And that we got success. So now the way forward would be, if I have to just end in one word, is by winning hearts and mind.
Mr. Mani, all of this ammunition and arms coming through, what's to be done about that? The fencing is another headache. What about this?
Fencing is indeed a headache because of certain places it is sterile and certain places it has to be taken in the right earnest, but because basically On the Bangladesh, Indo-Bangladesh border, there are issues, especially the land acquisition part on the Bengal side, and the other side also there are this Meghalaya side there is a terrain issue, and Tripura side things are happening. On the Mizoram border fencing, it was earlier not in the agenda, but now things are happening. But there are certain restrictions. The free movement rules, which have been suspended after this Manipur crisis kicked in, that really needs to be revisited, and that is one of the major sources. And besides that, the Naga borders also, as my friend pointed out, the Nagas also resolve themselves. There are certain social sector groups other than the dominant house who have very close relationship with cookies, and they have earlier been very helpful in resolving the Naga or reaching out to the Naga accord. Present Tamil Nadu government will bear me out. Such type of things could also be used to drive away the youth from the drugs. Something called Naga mothers and others. There are several groups working there. They are basically Naga brothers, and they should also be co-opted so that they are driven away from that. Employment, somebody flagged it. Employment was not a problem. Employment as a country, we are having some issues, but as a employment in Manipur also, livelihoods have been addressed through several ways by after 2000, from the period 2014 to 2018. But all got somehow squandered because I don't know what was the reason for that. There was a lot of consolidation on the livelihood front. For example, because Manipur economy is something like agriculture plus weaving, and for weaving earlier they were never getting the yarn earlier, but under Smriti Irani it was ensured through the e-Daga mobile ordering and all that. So those things are there, they are very much validated. Infrastructure did come into Manipur, NH 74 was really reinforced, all those things happened, and they were enjoying the benefits of that. But again I said there were certain political invisible hands which have entered into that to disrupt the process, and that is the reason. If that hand could be identified and brought out to book, I think many issues will be resolved. It is very much there, the hand, and they would not allow any fees to come. It could be a foreign hand coming from there, funds could be coming from there, there could be some other vested interest like the drug lobby or the arms lobby working into that. Those things, I am sure now with the president rule in, they have got at least 6 months at the ab initio, and maybe extendable by another 6 months if required, to drive out those lobbies and consolidate the position. Border fencing is also essentially, equally essential, and we will also take over that, the due course of that. Border fencing is a long drawn process. It takes 2 to 3 hours really fence the entire border. So it will happen, it will concurrently happen along with these type of development and consolidation.
Fair enough, sir. Fair enough. So we've run out of time. Appreciate everybody who joined us on this important chat. We take a short break. Be right back.